Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel, Mia here. Today's video is going to be a wrap-up for the month of November and December. And the reason why I'm joining these 2 months together in this wrap-up is because I read a lot in November, but I didn't really read much in December at all. So I figure why not put them all together since I was really late with my November wrap-up anyway. So here you have it. These are the books slash comics slash mangas that I've read in the last 2 months. This particular video is not organized in the same way as I organize all my other wrap-up videos. The reason for that is because the majority of these books received the same rating from me, and since I managed to read mostly graphic novels and mangas and novels, so I thought it would be easier if I just divide it in those 2 sections. So the first section of this video is going to be about the actual books that I read, and these are books that I either completely read in those last 2 months or I finished reading during the last 2 months. So let's start with the books and then we'll move into the comics slash manga section. So first I read the first book of the Warriors series. This is Into the Wild by Erin Hunter. This is so much fun. I'm so happy I finally started reading this series. But this takes place in a fictional world where there's this different clans of cats, and they're all wild cats. And this particular book follows a home cat, a pet cat, who leaves his human home to join one of the clans, and is about the culture shock and the different clans and how they live their lives and the rules that they go by and all of that stuff. It was really interesting. I really enjoyed mostly the cat characters in this book. I thought they were so much fun to read from and so nice to get to know, and I just really enjoyed the writing and the storyline and the plotting, everything about this book. The ending of this book was such a cliffhanger. I cannot wait to pick up the next book and see what happens to these characters. I'm so excited about this. So anyways, I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. Really enjoyed it. Cannot wait to continue with the series. The next book, to be honest with you, I don't remember if I read it in November or in October. So I'm so sorry if I've already shared this with you, but I just honestly could not remember when I read this book. Anyways, that book is Chevy Stevens' That Night, and this, I know it was a book club pick, I just cannot remember if it was for November or if it was for October. So sorry if I already shared this with you, so I'll keep it really short just in case I did already go over this with you. Anyways, this was a very interesting story. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars, and it follows a girl who at a very young age ends up going to prison for the murder of her sister, and it follows the things that happened in the past before she went to prison, things that happened during her time in prison, and things that happened after. So once she leaves prison, she is in the hunt for what truly happened. So she's hunting for the truth in order to clear her name and regain her life back. There's some romance, like I said, in it, and of course the mystery of the crime, which it was very interesting, very fun. It takes place in Canada, and I really enjoyed it. Moving on, I finished reading The Black Prism by Brent Weeks. This was an amazing read. I can't believe it took me so long to read it. This is the first book by of the Lightbringer series, and it was fantastic. I've never read a fantasy book like this one. I felt that it was so refreshing and so different to what I've read so far. The characters were absolutely amazing. They were just so real and not real at the same time. The magic system was amazing. The plot and the storyline was very detailed, and it was just very well thought and very well processed, and I loved everything about this book. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars, and I cannot wait to pick up the next book in this series. I also finally read the 8th Harry Potter book, which is Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. This is a play by J.K. Rowling, Joan Tiffany, and Jack Thorne, and I enjoy it. I don't think it is the same as the previous books, so I don't necessarily think it should have been the 8th book in the series. I think it should have been extra or separated from the series, because I think that's what threw off a lot of people. I personally really did enjoy it. I thought it was fun and interesting, and I did like the characters, I did like the play, but I do enjoy plays to begin with, so I'm not sure. I just personally enjoyed it. I liked it. It brought back memories from when I read the original series and how much I enjoyed it, and to hear back from the characters and envision them as adults was just very interesting to me. I really liked it personally. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And finally, I have finished reading 1Q84 by Haruki Murakami. Yes! This book has taken me so long to read it that I was so happy when I finally finished it that I wanted to cry. I think little tears came up to my eyes, and I was just so happy that I accomplished this and read it. How I feel about it, I don't really know yet. I have mixed feelings about this book, because I love his writing. His writing is very beautiful, it's thought-provoking, and it's very detailed. I really like the visual images that he can give you through his writing. However, the one thing that I didn't like about this book, and something that based on the previous books that I read by this author I've noticed is quite common in his writing, is that although he is very detailed and, you know, his world building is beautiful, the actual action in the book and happenings are minimal. And it's fine, I don't mind that, I get it. His books are mostly about the ride, you know, not the destination. So I enjoy his writing, but this book just took me so long. It is such a long book. I mean, it's over 1,000 pages, and for a book that long, I really expected something to happen. Throughout the entire story, he sets the plot to make you believe that something is coming, that something crazy is going to happen. So it builds up all the suspense, and you're reading it very exciting, even though it's very slow paced. Like I said, like not many things happen. There's just a lot of explanations and a lot of happenings and blah blah blah, but nothing exciting. So you're waiting and you're on edge for that excitement, and you finish the story and the excitement never comes. It has a very muted tone throughout the entire writing, and although his writing is absolutely beautiful, that muted tone and that just blah kind of feel throughout the story, I don't really know how to explain it. I don't feel that I'm expressing myself correctly. But basically his characters, the plot, everything is very neutral in a way. Like there's no emotions, I feel like them, and even when there are emotions, they're not intense. They're just so trapped in a way and controlled, that to me, somebody that is very expressive, this just made me feel suffocating, like I was, you know, out of breath. Throughout the entire story, you are led to believe that this amazing thing is going to happen, that something exciting and crazy is going to happen, and it never does. And it's a little bit disappointing for a book that is so long, over 1,000 pages, for nothing to happen at the end. I found that to be a little bit frustrating, but other than that, I enjoyed it. So I don't know if I made any sense at all. I enjoyed the writing, didn't care too much for the ending. I felt that it could have given me so much more based on the tense, you know, feeling that it created throughout the entire story. But anyways, I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. I'm glad I read it. Alright, so now let's move on to the second part of this wrap-up, and this is going to be all about graphic novels and mangas, and I kind of went crazy with the mangas. But first, I started reading Tokyo Ghoul Volume 1. I love this so much. I can't even, oh my gosh, I read this within like a couple hours, and I needed more right then and there. So as soon as I had the opportunity to go to the bookstore, I did, and I purchased every other volume that was out because it was amazing. So this is Tokyo Ghoul by Sui Ishida, and basically what this story is about, for those of you who've not heard of it, is about a regular young man who ends up going into this date with this girl who is like the girl of his dreams, and this girl turned out to be a ghoul. She tries to kill him, she tries to eat him, and then there's this freak accident that happens where the ghoul girl dies and he ends up extremely injured. Not from the accident himself, but from the attack by this ghoul that he was a victim of. So he ends up getting rushed to the hospital, and this doctor exchanges some organs from the ghoul girl into his body. And then after that, as he's recovering, he's starting to realize this crazy changes in his body, and he starts to realize that he's no longer human, that he might have been turned into a ghoul, or at least his body has been turned into a ghoul. So now he's a ghoul with a human mentality and with a human, you know, heart. So he has to live by the ghoul rules and get to know that entire hidden culture, and also figure out where he stands, you know, like where exactly does he stand, being part both. So it was very interesting. There's a lot that goes on within the plot of the story. I mean, it's much deeper than just that, but that's all I feel I can tell you without spoiling the rest of the series. This is also an anime, so I watched every episode I could find about the anime, as well as read the entire series in the manga version as well. I feel that the manga and the anime started very similar, but then at a crucial moment it just kind of went completely opposite ways, which is very interesting because you can see that what would have happened if it was the anime way and what it would have happened if it was the manga way. So you get two completely different storylines, and I thought that was very, very interesting, extremely enjoyable. I gave this 5 stars, as well as the rest of them. So it was 10 volumes total. I read them all, I loved them all. So for me, this entire series is a 5-star series. I cannot wait for the other volumes to come out in English so that I can get them. I think there's 13 volumes out so far in Japanese, but this 10 are the only ones I found out in English. So can't wait for the rest of them to come. Then I also read Inuyasha Volume 1. I absolutely adore this anime series. I am obsessed with it. It is my absolute favorite. Tokyo Ghoul now being my second favorite. But I've never read the actual manga from Inuyasha. So I decided to pick up this volume, give it a try. This is actually 3 in 1, so it's got Volume 1, 2, and 3 in this bind up. And I recently got 2 more as well, I believe 2 or 3 more of these bind ups, so I look forward to reading them. I personally love this one, so I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. What this is about is this girl who is the reincarnation of a priestess from 500 years ago, and this priestess was in charge of protecting this Yule called the second Yule, and is the Yule of all souls, the Yule of 4 souls. And if I can explain this correctly, basically throughout the story there's four parts to a soul. There's 4 parts to what makes a human soul, and that's what this Yule is about. And this Yule can grant both humans or demons whichever wish they desire. And basically this girl, due to that Yule being reincarnated within her body as well, she ends up traveling through this well back 500 years, where she meets Inuyasha, a half demon, and during their first interaction together, she breaks the second Yule into many little pieces. So they go off on this journey to recover all of those pieces and put the Yule back together. And that is what their story is about. It's a beautiful friendship and adventure and romance story. I personally adore it. So definitely recommend this one. And the last thing that I've read in the last 2 months is this comic here. This is Gwenpool. This is the volume 1 called Believe It, and it's by Hastings, Gurihiru, Bayruth, and Bonvillain. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a very interesting storyline because it's about a girl from the regular world who is a little bit of a crazy girl, you know. She's a geek, she loves comics, she's read almost any comic you can think of, and somehow she ends up traveling to the comic world. So she has no superpowers, she has no special abilities, she just knows everything there is to know about the comic world, and she is kind of a little bit crazy. So she gives herself the superhero name of Gwenpool, and she goes and gets herself a costume, and it's about her first adventures in this world. So it was very fun, it was interesting, it was just kind of crazy all over the place, but I liked it. So I ended up giving this comic 4 out of 5 stars. Those are all the things that I read in the months of November and December. I know this video got extremely long. I'm so sorry about that. I get carried away sometimes when I'm talking about the things that I've been reading, and sometimes I have a little bit of a difficult time expressing my feelings about them or explaining my thoughts and whatnot. Anyways, I do hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I sure hope to see you again soon. Bye!